Hi everyone, it's Ivy again. Alright, so day 9 and it's the 1st of February and it's freezing in the UK. So today I want to talk to you about, I guess, why I'm so passionate about education and wanting to do more than just being a teacher. And it's actually a story that I'd love to share with you. And just bear with me because it might be a little bit long, I don't know. But I'm gonna try and cut it as short as I can. So it really started off in my second year of teaching actually, and I went into this little town, really beautiful town with some amazing people and some amazing kids that I worked with. So I had a wonderful principal in in that school, and yes, it was a little school, but he was so great because he allowed me to have the freedom to teach the way that I wanted to, and I guess to express the philosophies of my own teaching, and it was really nice of him to want me to do that. And I guess just having the autonomy, and I think that's why I loved teaching back in Perth. It's the autonomy, and it's the power to actually make a difference. Using your personality and using what the kids are really interested in. So the story started with well, I actually, after that end of the year, I actually quit my job in that little school, and I wanted to go to Nepal for 4 months. And the children found out about it, so they came in. They started to ask me, Miss Wong, why are you going to Nepal? And so I had to explain to them that I wanted to go to Nepal because I wanted to go there to volunteer, to teach children, and I was actually going to be there for 4 months. So and I mean, like, school holidays are only what, 6 weeks, so that's why I had to quit the job. But that, I guess that term I was actually thinking of teaching them about India and the cultures and and comparing it to Australia. But because they were so interested in Nepal, I then decided to change the whole curriculum, well, my whole plans, and I scrapped the whole plans, and I went, all right, we're gonna look at Nepal. We're gonna look at why children, need to, why I need to volunteer over there, and why I would like to teach children over there. So they were like, I had, because it was sort of a multi-class system at the school that I was teaching. I was teaching from pre-primary to year 3. So I had children from about 4 years old to 8 years old in my classroom. And, some of them were like, oh, why volunteer? What is volunteering? So I had to explain what volunteering meant and why I was doing it all for free. And they really didn't understand that concept. And so we looked into why, why there's poverty in Nepal and what children their age are facing in Nepal. And it was really interesting because that was the topic for the whole term, and I think it was about 6 weeks or 10 weeks or something like that. I don't even remember. But what happened was they started to get so involved, and there was purpose in their learning because they were so interested in Nepal and so interested in why those children were so different to them. And I guess in the curriculum, I teach art, I teach geography, I teach, history, and what else? English and maths and all sorts of things. But what I loved about this project was that it all sort of meshed together, and it wasn't just, all right, we're going to be learning English now and we're going to be learning maths now. What I did was I knew my end result, and I knew that what I wanted to do was at the end of the term, I wanted them to do a fundraiser, to do an art exhibition. So what we did in art was we looked at art from different cultures and around the world, and basically the theme was around the world, and why different you know, types of art, you know, I guess happened in different cultures. And then we also created these artwork in different cultures. Anyway, so that was the art. And then in D&T, we actually looked at different cooking in different cultures. And it was really, really fun because another one of the teachers got involved, and it was great. But what was so interesting was that by the end of the term, when they were so involved and so interested in these children, I actually got them to watch a video, and the video was about a child that was around their age, and it started off with this child crying, wanting to have an education, and the auntie sort of threw water at this child because. And said, don't even think about education, don't even dream about it because your parents died, and now you have to help me around with the family. And so it was really sad, and actually it created like empathy in the children that I was teaching. And I remember them after the video, they were so passionate. They were angry, and they were frustrated at, you know, why this child couldn't have the education that they have. And it helps them to also like be really grateful for the education that they have. But so I said to them, okay, and one of them said to me, we've got to do something about it. You know, what can we do? And so I said, okay, well, that's a great question. What can you do? And so I wasn't telling them that at the end of this, we're going to be doing a art exhibition to fundraise for these children. But what I was doing was I asked them back the question. I got them to problem solve. I facilitated their learning. So, what happened? So I asked them, you know, what can we do? And, you know, they came up with all sorts of funny things like, oh, we could send our parents to Nepal and they could build schools for, you know, for these children. And I was like, that's a great idea, but who's going to look after you guys? And they were like, you, Miss Wong. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go and facilitate. I mean, I'm going to go over there and help them build the school as well. So then they were like, okay, well, that's not a good idea. And then so then they started thinking of other ways. They were like, okay, well, and I guess the questions that came out of me was, you know, what can we do in little ways to help them? And so they were like, oh, you know, we can give them food, we can give them water, we can give them clothes. And I was like, great, you know, what do we need to actually create all these things? And they said, well, we can send it over there. We can, whatever clothes we don't want, we can actually give to them. And I was like, that's a great idea because I can actually bring all those clothes over. However, food I can't bring over because what happens to food after a long period of time? It goes moldy and everything like that. So then they went, okay, well, what about if we bought them food over there? So I was like, okay, well, what do we need if we wanted to buy them food over there? And they said money. And I was like, cha-ching, you know, like, yes, this is where we're going. So then I said, okay, well, you know, how can we raise money, or how can we get money? And, you know, the first thing children would say is, we can just get it from our parents. So then the learning of financial education came into play, and it was, you know, getting them to understand that money doesn't come for free, and that sometimes, you know, most of the time we have to work for it, we have to earn it, we have to I don't know, try and fundraise for it. So then the word fundraising came up, and, you know, I explained what fundraising was, and then they went, yep, okay, let's do that. And so I was like, okay, well, what can we sell as a fundraiser? And one of the children, she said to me, oh, my mum and dad owns a store, a deli, and sometimes I bake cakes and I sell it there for $1. per cake. And I went, great idea. So she's like, can we do that? And I was like, yes. And then it started snowballing. A lot of the children were like, well, during D&T, we've been cooking different foods around the world. Can we make all those foods and can we sell them to our parents? And I was like, great idea. We can do that too. And then I said, what else? Look around the classroom and see what else we can use to fundraise. And they were like, our artwork. And so I said, yes, we can sell our artwork and let's create an exhibition. And they were like, yeah, that's a great idea. So then this whole 6-week project actually became, the end goal being the art exhibition. But before having that exhibition, I needed them to really understand, really empathize, and really put themselves in the shoes of these children. Because I guess that was my objective, whether the learning was purposeful and whether they were able to use their learning in English, in science, in maths, in geography, in history. And it was really interesting because at the end I ended up using some of this to actually assess them. And my assessment would be, for example, let's do a recount of a day in the life of a child in Nepal. So they had to use the structure of a recount. So I taught them how to do a recount and the structure of a recount. But yes, the teaching happened, but it was because it was more purposeful to them that they learnt something. And so what then happened? So then they wrote a recount, and we actually shared these in assembly, and it really got the parents' attention because they really put themselves in the shoes of these children in Nepal, and they had to write about what it was like to live a day in Nepal being these children. So that wasn't only just my assessment, that was actually them learning how to empathize, them learning how to tell a story from someone else's point of view. And these are all, things that we should be teaching our children. And a point of view is something that's in the curriculum as well. What else? In D&T, I assessed them by getting them to create posters for advertising, posters to advertise this art exhibition. And I showed them, what an effective poster would look like. So, and then we put these all around the community, and it was really effective. Not only that, but I remember saying to them, I've taught you so much about Nepal now, and it's your turn to teach your parents about Nepal. And they went home and they became teachers themselves, and they talked to their parents about Nepal, and they empathized, and and they were really compassionate about wanting this exhibition to go really well. And I have to say, the exhibition did go really well. I mean, I told my principal, I wanted this to be real life for them. I wanted it to be sort of like a real life exhibition, art exhibition. So what do we need in a real art exhibition? We need curators, we need, auctioneers, we need, salespeople and cashiers. And so they ended up in these roles because I taught them how to actually, I guess, what's the word? I mean, like, how to play these roles. And it was really interesting because, on the day, they were so responsible, they were so accountable for each other, they were so passionate about the work that I didn't have to do anything. I was there, I was taking pictures of them, I was sitting back, and I just looked at them with so much, I guess, like, just so much proudness. Like, I was so proud of them. And I know they're not my children, but I felt like they were my children. And I was really, really proud of them. They executed their roles so well. But I guess even before that, I was, all the artwork that we sold was only about what I think the most was about $2 or something like that. And we had a couple of things that we made to auctioneer off. Mm-hmm. And then what else did we do? We also did we also had a talk before the exhibition. And mm-hmm. with the exhibition, I said to them, there's lots of money to be handled. I forgot to even tell you. So because there was money to be handled, I actually taught them, the different currencies between Australia and Nepali currency. What else did I teach them? I also taught them, money, how to add money, how to give change, and how to calculate that mentally. So, it was all differentiated, obviously, because some children were 4 years old and some were 8. So it was really nice to sort of see that they're all teaching each other. But just before the exhibition, I actually told them, I made sure that they were accountable for each other, and I made sure that they were being truthful and accountable to themselves. So I asked the question, I said, what happens if we don't give the right change? Or what happens if we accidentally lose money? Or what happens if we think, oh, it's okay to put maybe $1 out of all the amount of money that we've earned in our pockets? And one of my kids actually said, oh, Miss Wong, $1, every $1.79 that we lose can kill a child. And I was like, okay, why do you say that? And he said, well, because $1.79 goes towards them having education, being able to eat, being able to have clothes, and having shelter for one day. Okay, so I was like, wow, that's such a great critical thinking method. And I said, yeah, we could really, hurt these children if we accidentally put $1 in our pocket, or lose money, or accidentally give the wrong change. So they were really accountable going into this exhibition. And on that day, I just sat there in awe. I sat back and I saw, two of my children who were learning how to be auctioneers, really speak out and really being confident. And, I saw, children selling food, telling parents why they need to buy this food and what it goes towards. And I see children standing outside welcoming parents, and collecting, I only asked for what did I ask for? I asked for a silver coin donation. So collecting money outside as entrance fee. And then I saw some of my children, work really hard to calculate how much change they had to give their parents. And it was just so nice to see. And it was so humbling to see that, these children recognize that they have a huge part to play in society, and they can easily all become leaders, and they know that, so this experience, and what was so humbling? What was so humbling was that I asked for silver coin donations, but because these children were so passionate, because they talked to their parents at home about this project, we didn't get silver coin donations. We got $50 notes, and I was shocked. And And what else? I mean, like, I didn't expect my auctioneers to be able to auction at such high prices. So, you know, we have some amazing auctioneers in the future. And, you know, they sold a confetti bowl that we made. I mean, like, we made it out of confetti. It was a bowl that we made out of confetti for $120. But it wasn't that. I mean, like, it's not the money. It was because they were so passionate about what they were doing, you know, and there was purpose in all this learning that we were able to raise, I think it was $1,400 just from my little classroom and just from the parents and the community around there. We raised $1,400 for children in Nepal. But you know, this exercise, it really made me realize that children can do so much more when they have a purpose, and when they know that, and when that purpose drives them. And that's why I'm so passionate about education, and that's why I'm so passionate about wanting to, I guess, implement and recreate that passion, recreate that purpose of learning for more than just, you know, the children in my classroom. So, you know, after the I guess the art exhibition, you know, I mean, I calculated the money, but then I poured it right into the middle, and I got everybody to help me calculate how much we had raised the day before. And, you know, I mean, like, it was really big numbers. It was in the thousands. And so, you know, the pre-primary children would be counting in tens. And so they'd be counting all the 10 cents that we'd raised. And, you know, the year ones will be doing the 20s and the $1 and the $2. And then the year twos would be doing the 5s and the 10s, and then you know, the year threes were calculating all the $50 notes and the $20 notes that we had raised. And it was so beautiful because, you know, all of them were just making sure that they were counting correctly, that they didn't, you know, that they made sure that their friends weren't keeping any money, and you know, it was so beautiful. And you know, and that sort of learning, you know, it's not just about education. That, I mean, it's not just about academic work. I mean, like, because of the purpose of the learning, I did see academic progress. And naturally, when there is purpose to learning, there will be academic progress. But what I saw was empathy. I saw compassion. I saw financial education in that. I saw, you know, marketing and like the beginnings of marketing and sales and advertising. I saw that they were, you know, getting real life experiences. I saw that they were communicating with each other. They were being a team, and they were being accountable for themselves and being accountable for each other. I saw that they were responsible for each other, you know. What else? You know, like, you know, they learnt life skills. They learnt how to, you know, make sushi. They learnt how to cook rice in a rice cooker. What else did they learn? They learnt about different cultures in the world, and mostly they learnt that they had a purpose and that they had a place in society. And this is why I'm so passionate about wanting to do what I'm wanting to do right now. It's because I need to get this message out there. And I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I just know that I need to. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed my little story. And hi Kim, thanks for joining. And yeah, I hope that this was really valuable information on how you can, you know, create purpose in your children's life. And, you know, when they see purpose, there will be academic success. I mean, it naturally happens. Okay, so anyway, thank you. Bye.